Hello everyone! In this episode I am going to create an image editor with HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So basically we can choose an image. Let's take one of my thumbnails. Let's use a Minecraft image. Okay, there we got the image. With this editor we can change the blur of the image. We can change the contrast, the hue rotate, and the sepia, also known as the black and whiteness. We can use the no flip value, a flip horizontal, or flip vertical. So yeah, we are going to be creating this in this episode. So yeah, let's get going. Alright, here I am in Visual Studio Code right now, and I have the index.html, the style.css, and also the index.js. So yeah, let's start by creating the HTML that we're going to need. Okay, so first we are going to declare the doc type HTML. So this document is going to be an HTML5 document. Then we are going to declare the language. It will be English. And let's create a head section and a meta. The name will be viewport. And the content will be width equals device width, comma, initial scale equals 1.0. There we go. Let's add a title. So, image editor with HTML, CSS and JavaScript. That's going to be my title. Let's add another meta tag. So meta HTTP equiv XUA compatible. The content will be IEH. There we go. And one more. So meta char set character set equals UTF-8. Alright, and then we gotta link the CSS style sheet onto this HTML file. So link relationship is going to be a style sheet, and the location is gonna be right next to our HTML file. There we go. So we got the first main things ready. Then we are going to create the body element. The body will contain everything that is going to be visible on the web page. So I'm going to go ahead and create a div element. Div, the class is going to be wrapper. Alright, inside another one with the class of editor and the class of filter. And inside of here I'm gonna create a label. This is going to be for blur, and I'm gonna say blur. Then an input. The type will be range. Minimum value is gonna be 0. The maximum value will be 5. Initial value will be 0. The steps will be every 0.1. So we have a total of 50 steps. The ID will be blur. And then we gotta close this tag. There we go. So we got this one right now. Then we gotta go ahead and we have to create another div element. So div, the class will be filter once again, and the label for contrast. There we go. And it's gonna say contrast. Then input type will be range. The minimum value will be 0. Maximum 200. Initial value will be 100. And the ID will be contrast. Alright. Then div class filter once again. And the label for hue rotate. Inside we'll say hue dash rotate. Alright, then input type range. Minimum value is gonna be 0. Maximum will be 360. The value will be 0 at the beginning. And the ID will be hue dash rotate. There we go. Then we gotta create one more div element with the class filter. A label for sepia, also known as black and white. Okay. Then we gotta create the input. It's gonna be the type of range. Minimum value will be 0. Maximum 100. The initial value is gonna be 0. And ID sepia. There we go. So right now we have these. They are right over here. Alright, after that I'm going to be creating some radio buttons. So right next to this div element, I'm gonna create div class flip buttons. Div class flip option. Inside of the flip option, we will be creating an input element with the type radio. The name of this one will be flip, and the ID will be no flip and checked. So the checked attribute makes sure that this is going to be the radio button that is going to be checked initially. Then we add a label. So the label is going to be for no flip. So the ID of the input element and the label of the for attribute of the label have to match. So these will be connected to one another. Alright, then I'm going to create a text of no flip. There we go. After that we can get out of this div and create another one. Div class, let's say flip option, and then input type radio. Name will be flip, ID will be flip X. Okay, the label will be for flip X. So once again the ID and the for need to be the same. And then we are going to say flip horizontal. Alright. And one more div element. So div class equals flip option. Inside we'll create a third radio button. Type radio. Name flip. And the ID no. The ID will be flip Y. There we go. Then a label for flip Y. And we'll say flip vertical. Okay, So now we have these buttons. We can only select one of the buttons, and that is because of the name. So all of these radio buttons have the same name. The name is flip. So when these radio buttons have the same name, we will only be able to select one of these. However, if the name attribute was gone, then we would be able to select all of these at the same time. And that is not what we want. So yeah, I'm gonna revert these changes. Okay, then I'm gonna exit this development, and this development, and then create a new development underneath. The ID will be result, and then figure, class, image, container, img will be ID, chosen image, and then let's get out of the figure element and input. The type will be file this time. ID will be upload button, and accept equals image. So we gotta add a star and a quote. So yeah, this is the attribute to put over here. Then we can close this one. Let's create a label for upload button, and let's say choose an image. Alright, then I'm going to get out of this development, and I'm gonna get to the bottom of my body, and I'm going to link the script. So script source will be index.js. There we go. So yeah, now we have all the HTML that we are going to need. Alright. There we go. The next thing that I'm going to be doing is the styling. So first, let's use the asterisk to select all the elements. We'll set the padding of all the elements to 0, margin 0, box sizing will be a border box, and the font family is going to be let's say Arial, Helvetica, and sans serif. Then I'm gonna take the body element, and the background color will be hashtag D3E8F5. There we go. Alright. After that, I'm gonna select the wrapper development. The width of this one will be 85 viewport width. The minimum height will be 50 vmin. The padding will be 50 pixels by 30 pixels. The background color is gonna be FFF, so completely white. The positioning will be absolute. Transform will be translate minus 50%, comma, minus 50%. Then we'll say, actually I want to show the file to you right now. So right now this is what we got. Alright. So let's set the top to be 50% and the left to be the same. Alright. Now it looks like this. So yeah, it's already starting to look like the final project. Then let's add some border radius of 10 pixels to make the borders of the container smooth or a little bit smoother. And I'm gonna add a box shadow 0, 20 pixels, 35 pixels, RGBA 000 and 0.15. The display will be a grid, and the grid template columns is gonna be 5 FR and 7 FR. There we go. So now we got this. Then we gotta go ahead and select the editor class. So editor, the minimum height will be 35 V min. Display will be flex. Flex direction will be column justify content space around, and the gap will be 20 pixels. Okay, it looks like that right now. Then I'm gonna take the editor and all the label elements inside of that. So the font size will be 2.8 V min. Color hashtag 2A292A. Alright. Then the font weight will be 400. There we go. So we got this right now. Then we gotta go and take the editor once again, but this time we are going to get the input type range. So we are gonna select all the input elements because they all have the type range. So let's take the editor and the input type equals range. And we will add the display to be a block level element. Width will be 100%. Position relative. Okay, I misspelled that. And then the margin dash top will be 5 pixels. So this is what we got right now. Alright. So we were able to style all the input elements with one block of CSS code, except not this input element, but that's okay. Then I'm gonna take the flip buttons element or the div. The display is going to be flex, and the flex direction will be a column, and margin top 10 pixels. Alright, so this is what we got right now. Then we gotta go ahead and take the flip buttons, and inside of the flip buttons we'll take the class flip option and margin top 10 pixels. There we go. Alright. Then I'm gonna take the result. The position of the result will be relative. Display will be flex. Flex direction will be a column once again. The justify content will be center, and gap 20 pixels. Now it looks like this. Then we will take the result and the img. So display block, position relative, and the max width of this is going to be calculate 100% minus 4v min. Max height will be 45v min, and margin will be auto or 0 auto. Okay, there's no difference. Okay, so there we go. We got the style sheet pretty much styled. Then I'm gonna take the image container, set the display to none, and then I'm gonna take the input, and the type will be file this time, so we are already at the bottom over here. Alright, and I'm gonna add display none. There we go. After that, I'm gonna take the result and the label inside of the result, and display block. Positioning will be relative. Let's center align it, margin 0 auto. The width will be 220 pixels. The background color will be 025 BEE. The color will be FFF. Text align center. Padding 16 pixels by 0. Border radius will be 5 pixels. The font size will be 2.8 v min again, and font weight will be 400, and cursor pointer. There we go. Alright, then I'm gonna take the media tag. So this is used for resizing. So when the maximum or when the width gets below 620 pixels, we are going to take the wrapper and set the width to be 95 viewport width. We will use grid, template, columns, 1FR. Then the padding will be 30 by 20 pixels and gap 10 pixels. Then we will take the editor and let's set the grid row to be 2. Alright. Then flip buttons. The flex direction will be a row. And then justify content space between. Alright. Then we are going to finally get the flip buttons and the flip option. Inside the margin top will be 0. So yeah, this is what we got right now. So yeah, a pretty good looking one in my opinion. So let's go ahead and continue. So right now we don't have any functionality on the page. So we gotta go ahead and create that with JavaScript. So let's go to the JavaScript file over here, and we gotta create some variables. Let's create let filter a equals document dot get element by ID blur. Blur is going to be the first value. Then filter b will be document get element by ID. The contrast will be the second one. Let filter c equals document get element by ID hue rotate, and then finally we are going to let filter d document get element by ID sepia. There we go. Alright, then we gotta get the radio buttons, so let no flip btn equals document get element by ID no flip, then let flip xbtn equals document dot get element by ID. ID is going to be flip x. Alright, and then we will get the flip y button. Let flip y btn, btn short for button, and then we get the element by ID flip dash y. Alright, so we have taken quite a lot of elements from the HTML to our file over here. Alright, we still have a couple of elements to get, so let upload button equals document.get element by ID. The ID is upload button. Then the image. The ID will be chosen image. There we go. Okay. Next up, we gotta create a function to reset the filters to the original values. They are going to be 0, 100, and 0, and 0. 0, 100, 0, 0. So, let's say function reset filter, add a parenthesis and curly brackets. The filter a.value will be equal to 0. The filter b.value will be equal to 100. The filter c's value will be equal to 0. And filter d.value equals 0 as well. Alright, then we gotta get the no flip button and the checked property and make it equal to true. So by default, the no flip button will be checked. Then we gotta add a couple of functions. So add filter and flip image. There we go. Alright. Then I'm going to take the upload button. So upload button dot on change. This is gonna be a property and it's gonna be a global event handler. We'll set this equal to an arrow function. So first we will reset filter. So that's gonna be this function over here. Then we gotta get the image container. So document.query selector image dash container and access the style and then access the display, and this will be equal to a block level element. Then we are going to create a variable. So reader equals new file reader, and this is going to be a built-in variable. So yeah, this lets us to read the contents of files. So yeah. Alright, there we go. Then we will take the reader, access the read as data URL method, and Then we'll take the upload button.files at the index of 0 and a semicolon at the end. Then we will take reader on load equals an arrow function, and then we will set the image.set attribute, and the source will be reader.result. There we go. Alright, so there we go, we got this one right now. Then we are going to need some sliders. So let sliders equals document.query selector all this time, and we are going to take all the image containers no, not the image containers, but the filters and input elements with the type equal to range. Alright, and by the way, we are using double quotes over here, so I gotta use single quotes in here. Or the other way around. I can use single quotes over here and double quotes over here. But I'm gonna go with this way. Then we are going to add a semicolon, and then we'll access the sliders, which is going to be all the input type range elements. So sliders dot, we will use the for each method. There we go. And slider arrow function. And then we will do slider.add event listener. We will listen for input, and when that happens, we do the function add filter. Alright, and let's add a semicolon over here as well. So we take the sliders, they are going to be all the input elements with the type of range. Then we use the for each method to do this line of code for all of them. So we are adding an event listener for the input elements, and then we will run the function add filter. So basically next we gotta create a function. The function is going to be, well, you guessed it, add filter. So function add filter, and inside we'll set the image dot style dot filter equal to a template literal. Inside I'm gonna say blur, add a placeholder, actually first I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna add a placeholder. So I'm gonna put inside of this one the filter a dot value. The filter one, the first filter, will be the blur. Alright, and then at the end I'm gonna add pixels. Then the next one is going to be the contrast. I'm gonna add some brackets and a placeholder. Let's take the filter b dot value. and this is going to be in percentages. There we go. Then let's take the hue rotate. I'm gonna add a new line. Hue dash rotate, and then the brackets and placeholder. This is gonna be filter c.value, and we will say degrees over here, and then finally sepia, brackets, placeholder, filter d.value, and percentages. So there we go. Now we got this template literal here. So it's going to be showing all the values of the input elements, or not all of them, but the input elements that are used for the styling. Okay, and then I'm going to be creating a variable. So shut up. Alright, there we go. I'm gonna create the variable let radio buttons. Alright, so let radio buttons equals document dot query selector all. Once again, we'll take the class flip option and the input with the type equal to radio. And once again, we gotta use single quotes in here because we are already using double quotes on the outside or the around. And add a semicolon over here. Then I'm gonna take the radio BTNs actually. Radio BTNs, that's gonna be shorter. And let's use the for each method. Let's take all the radio BTNs, and then we are gonna do this. So radio BTN dot add event listener. We will listen for a click, and when that happens, we will flip image. So this is gonna be a function once again. So we gotta go ahead and declare the function. I'm gonna add a semicolon over here, and then I gotta go. Okay, then we gotta create the function flip image, which is here. So yeah, let's create a function flip image, brackets, curly brackets. So we will examine if the flip xbtn is checked. In that case, we'll take the image, the style, the transform, and we'll make it equal to scale x minus 1. Alright. Then else if the flip ybtn dot checked is true, then we are going to do image style transform equals scale y minus 1. And then if it's not the flip X or flip Y button, it has to be the third one. So else will say image style transform equals scale 1 and 1. There we go. So yeah, this should be it for all the JavaScript if I did everything correctly. So first we get the elements, then we run this function, then we run these functions after this, add filter and flip image, so this one and this one, and then we are going to set the style of the image. So yeah, so let's go ahead and actually give this a try. So I'm gonna choose an image. Here we go. Okay, I am in my thumbnails, and then I'm going to take the same image once again. Alright, then I'm gonna check if the blur works. Oh my god! Okay, the flip values work, but these don't. So, okay, I was checking the code out and I want to see if this has any effect. So I'm going to put this template literal on the same row. So yeah, these should be correct. The hue uses the degree value, and the sepia uses the percentages. We also have a semicolon. Alright, then let radio btns document query selector all. We take the flip option and the input type radio. Alright, looks good. Then we do the radio buttons that for each radio button we do an arrow function, and radio button dot add event listener click flip image. Okay, and then we have the last function, the flip image. And if the flip X btn is checked, we will do this. Otherwise, we are going to see if the flip Y btn is checked. And yeah, let's see if this actually works now. Choose an image, Minecraft. Let's see about the blur. Okay, so the only issue in my code was this. I had split this template literal over here like this, and this small little thing prevented this entire program from working. So look at this, it is not working anymore. But when I add them to the same line like this, so image style filter, then I take these into a template literal and add them all onto the same line. After that, this is going to work. So let's add some blur. maybe some contrast. Let's use that kind of a hue, and let's make it like that. Alright, so we can use the no flip, flip horizontal and vertical. Alright, so yeah, this project is right now working. So we can select an image, add blur, contrast, hue, rotate and sepia, and then we can flip the image horizontally and vertically. So yeah, that's pretty cool. When you are creating this, make sure that you have this template literal. Inside of the function add filter, make sure you have this on one line. All of this. All of this in one line to make sure that it works. Because for me it didn't when I did a line change. So yeah, anyways, that's going to be a pretty simple and easy to create image slider, image editor in JavaScript. And yeah, I hope you were able to learn something new from this one, and I hope to see you everyone in the next video or some other episode on the channel. But yeah, anyways, have a wonderful day everybody, happy learning, and yeah, have yourselves a wonderful day. Bye bye.